live for real, in a delayed podcast because some shit went down on the exact day we were going to record the next one.
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be a next little code night. Like I had everything canceled for me. I was like, oh, I'm gonna hang out all day, get a little drunk, and then go podcast with the boys. I was fucking wrong.
It got a little cold.
Yeah, so we all live in Texas, and as some of you might know, Texas got shit on recently by the weather. But really, we got shit on by our government and our energy provider, which apparently we're the only state that has, like, privatized energy from ERCOT, which means they can be complacent and just
little did we know.
Little did we know.
So what that means is basically most of Texas, with the exception of the El Paso area and the panhandle of Texas, the most northern part, is entirely on its own power grid, which makes a little bit of sense because Texas is so huge that like there's a lot of power there. But it also means we are not connected to any other power grid within the United States, which means that if the power goes down here, it's completely down. There's no recovery. We can't transfer power from anywhere else.
Well, it was an intentional choice made by the government so they can make more money off of natural oil.
The state government. State government.
Texas is very into their state rights, y'all.
And
there's some big downsides to that, like what happened now. And then the governor gets to blame it on clean energy because apparently the turbines froze over. But it's like, no, Canada has turbines and they get hit by colder storms. So,
also, our turbines only account for 12% of our energy consumption.
Yeah. So basically, while we were freezing to death, like me and Bradley live in the same apartment complex. We got omega fucked. Joe had like intermittent like energy, but mostly in the dark. Tyler, I think you were in Dallas where it was like a little bit better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but either way, at some point we're all freezing to death while the governor is like, but I have to push my agenda and make fucking lies. So, not a fan.
Ted Cruz jumped over to like Louisiana or somewhere and bought some tickets to Cancun and tried to.
And like, what was really fucking bullshit is like, ERCOT's Twitter was tweeting this shit like, just put on a fleece and turn your heat down to 68. It'll be fine. And I'm like, well, if the problem was just that people were cold, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. The problem is people are starving to death and
and also turn the heat down. There is no down to turn down from when we have no energy period for almost 72 hours. We had like 1 hour of energy.
So it was like a threefold crisis because number one, no one has power and energy at your home. It's like, okay, fine. But then what happens is that all of your refrigerated food gets spoiled because it goes off during the middle of the night and you don't have to recover it. So you have to go out and get more groceries. However, in Texas, our road systems and our tires are not built to work with the ice, which is a deadly thing to happen here. Like, also,
the grocery stores didn't have power, so
yeah,
all of their food is now gone, which means there's only like bread and other perishables. But that stuff doesn't really get in until later in the week, and especially with like it's Monday when this happened, so everyone just got their shipment, and that literally all went bad. So it's all gone.
And and it would be a rush to the stores, and you can't rush when there's ice out. So basically, you're just done. The stores weren't even open over here until the third day. Really, for the most part, the 7-Eleven opened for a couple of hours to get rid of their non-perishables. It was really bad. My mind went to dark places in that time.
Yeah, well, I was the lowest I've been. Tyler did save our life, though.
Yeah,
let that be on the record.
We're remiss not to mention that beautiful Tyler saved our lives by booking the last room at a hotel. The problem was also we couldn't fill up on gas. Like the day I was gonna fill up on gas the morning of to go to work, right? But however, with all the fucking energy out, you can't even fill up on gas. So it's like, we can't even drive to the hotel Tyler has made available to us. So we have to go on this whole trip to even go there.
The fuel lines were like completely frozen. Like natural gas pipelines were all frozen. I had no cellular connection at my house either. So like I was trying to help out in some way that I could. I mentioned to Tyler's like if you have to buy the room, I'll split it with you. But like I had no idea what was going on most of the day. I lucked out that my grandmother lived down the road and she has a big generator that she filled up beforehand and powered her house. We didn't have internet while we were there, but we went over, we got warm, we charged up our phones and our switches and stuff, and then we kind of went back home. But it still kind of sucked because it's my grandmother's house. It's not meant to have 5 people in it, so we can't just stay there.
Yeah, that's another thing. Without power, you can't charge your phone, so you have to conserve phone battery to keep up the news and like let your friends know that you're still alive.
Yeah.
Your Switch will die very quickly in the situation, and then you just have to literally sit there for hours upon hours not being able to do anything.
My life for like a couple days was like, wake up, it's 2 p.m., go to sleep. Wake up, it's 9 p.m., go to sleep. Wake up, it's 2 a.m., go to sleep. Like it was just like sleep, wake up, sleep, wake up.
Miserable.
I told my mom, I was like, I'm just gonna go bear mode. I'm gonna go in my room. I had like a box of goldfish. I brought that up there. I was like, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to sleep the entire day. Don't wake me up unless the power comes back on. And that's what I did.
Before we end, I'm glad I was able to help.
Thank God.
I was lucky in this situation where I had power and internet the whole time.
And a lovely bed partner.
I would see you motherfuckers playing League of Legends at night while I'm shivering.
Yeah. I was just trapped inside the entire time.
Sweat.
And also my office was down, so we couldn't connect to the servers or anything. And the week before that, they told us to take off Friday because we had Monday off. So I was off for like 11 days straight.
I was chilling.
Yeah, I finally got consistent power back like Wednesday, and then it kind of stayed on for the rest of the time there. So like after that, I kind of had like a nice spring break additional, which was kind of neat, but like it was not worth it for those 2 days. It's terrible because I'm even feeling it now. Like the grocery store down the street still doesn't have food.
Yeah.
And it's
I get my HEB delivered for just time purposes, and it's like I was doing it this morning. It's like, okay, setting my delivery for next Monday because that is the quickest available slot.
Yeah. So I'm just like, fuck. And also, so what makes even things funnier is that all of my family left Saturday after all this to go to Colorado, which was really funny. It's
Life
like, wow.
goes on. We bounce back, baby. We bounce back with podcast news. Y'all, let's talk about some nerdy shit. So we're good at.
Yeah.
Tyler, what have you been up to in a free talk session?
I'm still grinding out Persona. I'm 86 hours in.
Let's go.
And
Fuck
just
yeah.
So you're like halfway through.
I made it to Hawaii. I don't know if that's halfway through.
Oh, you're on God like halfway through. Okay.
Yeah, so no, I mean, like, I have a lot of hours, but like anytime I go to the Velvet Room, I spend like an hour or two just mixing and matching.
Definitely, yeah.
So I spend a lot of time there. I've kind of calmed down a little bit on it since, because I just haven't. I've been playing other games that we're going to talk about here later.
Well, you're at Hawaii, so you're kind of like at the time skippy portion of the game. It's like a long segment of just cutscenes and just random days where you may be able to do something. So
well, I'm very disappointed now that you spoiled that for me, because I didn't know what was going to happen in Hawaii. So I'm going to request that you silence.
I mean, you're at Hawaii.
You do a palace. You do a palace in a hot Hawaiian babe.
Okay, so Kawamaki showed up on the trip, but I didn't know that she was gonna be there. I was like,
if you're high enough with her, you can go on a date with her then, but it's really tough.
I am rank 9 with her.
Oh shit!
I don't know. I think you might need to be 10. Wait, but 9 is boyfriend.
You can't be 10. No, I'm not boyfriend yet. Like, I did as much as I could with her up to that point. Like, I haven't had any more opportunities to hang out with her yet.
Damn.
Sorry, yeah, like she hadn't called me or anything, and like I can't talk to her. And
See, me and Tyler disagree on a lot of things, but when it matters, we really align. Joe,
that we do.
what have you been up to?
So during the blackout, I played a hell of a lot of Disgaea.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I got really into that. Things finally clicked for me. I got the item world going. So I'm like, oh, okay. I do wish there might be a way to do this where to speed up the item world grind to where I could potentially skip to a section.
Yes,
because
there are items. I love it how every time you're like, man, I wish this was a thing. The answer is always it is. There are item called Diver Downs or Diver. It's like Diver 5. That'll just skip floors. And get to the part, because eventually when you start going down the item world, the bonuses for each stage start being more levels. So it's not just you can get 3 to 4 to 5 levels per individual floor.
5. Okay.
Yeah. So you can use the diver items to quickly but the enemies will get stronger, so you might die.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's good to know. I played a little bit more. I played a game called Dyson Sphere Project. Just to go through a free talk on that really quick. It's a very tutorial game. You're sent base man, and your goal is to make a Dyson sphere, which is a big, Death Star kind of object that surrounds the sun, and it's all the energy from the sun, and you send it to power Earth. It's fun. I think Factorio is a lot more my speed because Dyson Sphere doesn't have a if this is a line of building shit, Factorio has this other line which is shit coming to fuck you up, and that makes you have to change things around. Dyson Sphere doesn't really have that. It's just building shit. It's just building shit and making factory lines, which some people really like. But I think the stress of having these aliens come and attack you every night is something that is such a cool dynamic to your working system that I think it's worth having in your game. That's why. What else is on there? That's kind of it. Just watching Attack on Titan. I've just been doing a lot of schoolwork.
We're still in the slow phase of this arc, but in 2 episodes, it's I think in 2 episodes the best conversation in the series happens. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. Man, you're saying slow phase? I like the slow phases.
Oh, it's good.
So
there's a lot of good character moments, but season 4 it's just 8 episodes of nonstop. Oh my god. And
you posted that tweet today. I highly disagree with that.
That's fair. I don't know. The Gabby one.
Oh, I mean, I think that
it's essentially people would be cooler with this character if she was the main character instead of the actual main character, which is Aaron. But I do agree with that. It's Attack on Titan is very much like a story of 2 sides, and I think people would, if we had started with one of the sides, people would be less quick to jump on one.
I think so too, with some moderate changes to where Gabby starts off, or what the plotline leads to.
Yeah.
But I'm very interested to see how the story goes.
I feel like if you're actually hating a character in this arc, you're missing the point.
Yes, I agree. Unless that character is that douchebag who fed Grisha's sister to the dogs. That is the true villain of this story.
Yeah. The police guy.
The police guy who.
That was.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
That's the true villain right there.
That's the real bad guy.
Yeah.
But okay, that's you, Joe. Bradley, why don't you at least tell us about Triangle Strategy?
Dude.
To preface. This was a game that was announced in the most recent Nintendo Direct. Also, shout-outs to Mario Golf, which is Tyler very excited.
Hell yeah.
But, this is by the same people who did Octopath Traveler, but it is a strategy RPG akin to Final Fantasy Tactics as opposed to Final Fantasy VI style RPG. And a demo came out, which is what Bradley played.
And man, what convenient timing, because I just finished replaying Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm like, man, such a good game. Me and Will were like, man, people there just needs to be more tactics games nowadays. Yeah. And holy fuck, we have this HD 2Ds, I think what they're officially dubbing the style.
Yeah.
Tactics game. very fucking fun. I got the demo. I've already played like 3.5 hours of it. Probably gonna get it day one. I really like the combat in it. I think like, because I loved Octopath's aesthetic, so it's just more of that, and also a genre that I really like. I really think this kind of like story mechanic they're introducing with the I think they call it conviction, where it's like a 3-way kind of moral compass, and your choices throughout the story basically contribute to this invisible stat called conviction, which influences like events that happen elsewhere in the world and around your character. I've had a lot of fun with it so far. The first big decision the demo had me make, I was like, you can't make me choose that.
That's crazy because he just started and it's like the game has already invested him that quick. So I think the writing. I haven't tried the demo yet, but it seems like it's super good.
When did this game come out?
2022.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a while.
Yeah.
And like it was even fucked up because like first of all I was like, oh, I can't choose that, and I was like, oh well, maybe this is the less bad choice. And then I went around talking to NPCs and they kind of changed my mind about it. And I was like, oh man. And what's also really interesting is, so whenever there are times in the game where you and the people you're with are going to have to vote on a course of action to do, like what we think the right thing to do is, and you're only one of the votes. All the other characters also have their own vote, and some of them are going to be kind of unshakable in their conviction with that vote. Other ones of them, you can maybe try to convince them if you know them well enough to know what dialogue to pick, or sometimes from interacting with things in the world or talking to other NPCs, you might glean info you wouldn't otherwise have that could help you convince them. So I think it's just really fucking cool. And the decision I made, I was sitting here thinking about it. One, what would I actually do? I want to do this decision. And then I was also thinking, like, in terms of like making a video game, I was like, I feel like this one choice is just going to like resolve this entire conflict. So like, would it make me skip a battle if I chose that? And then I was like, well, if I do this other option, it's like, this would resolve a conflict later on. So do I not do this battle later on? And I feel like no matter which choice you pick, you're not going to miss out on stuff.
Cool.
I'm super excited to see how that plays out in a full scale game.
I'd probably say the only downside is, like, I kind of have a problem with the dialogue where the dialogue feels a little basic, and I'm trying to think of a good way to get across how I feel about it. It's like the things they are saying are really, really cool in the conversation, but the way they say it is not. It's like Attack on Titan. It's like the things they're discussing are really fucking cool.
Yeah,
but it's like the way their dialogue is written. I'm like, it sounds kind of basic.
It conceptually is cool. It's
just exactly
execution wise. It's kind of weird. Yeah.
Just real quick, I think it's because of the olden style that they go with. When you do olden style, I think it's harder to do voice, like give characters a unique voice. But go on, Joe.
I gotta say, don't do that. I think old style is just not worth doing. It's funny that you say like the aesthetic, because to me, a big part of Octopath, I really was just kind of, whenever you're not like in a zoomed in fight, like I don't know, the sprites never really clicked for me to figure out like what was what and what was going on. It was like everyone just seemed like a blur, like just very blurry to me whenever I played Octopath. So I never really kind of like hooked onto that aesthetic. I'm very interested to see the convictions thing, because that's what got my attention, was the idea that you are just a vote. Just because you vote one way does not mean that's where the game is going. I really like the idea. I just hope that it stays true that way for the rest of the game, but like not in a way where like you get to a point it's like, oh, you can't convince anyone to change this decision at any point. Like that would ruin the moment, I feel. But like I like the idea of like having these other convictions happen, and that's how things get decided. So I think that's a really cool mechanic. That's a lot of fucking writing that it has to do.
Yeah, and that's why I'm skeptical, because with the conviction thing, it's kind of like the whole Octopath and Octopath Traveler, where I'm like, man, that's a cool fucking idea.
Yeah.
Like for a story mechanic, but then Octopath didn't deliver on that front as much as I hoped it would.
Nothing connected. Like it was basically like 8 single player stories almost.
So I hope they deliver on this one.
I'm very interested to see how that goes, because I'm much more of a fan of those tactical RPGs. And the other thing is, I don't know, maybe Bradley can do this. Is it like Fire Emblem where you have specific heroes, or is it more like the Sky Advance where you recruit people, you can kind of build them how you want them to build them?
I think these are all like specific.
It's like Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Okay. I prefer the latter rather than the former, but that's just me, because it gives you a lot more customization. Like, I'm okay with having like star players that you can use. I like the idea of like, I built this guy, and like, for example, like Allura is the name of the ninja girl that's in my Disgaea team, and I know who she is because I use her all the time, and I have a connection with her because
You're making her big. Yeah.
I kind of like that too, because that's how Final Fantasy Tactics does it, where it's like you have 1, 2, maybe 3 like characters, and then the rest are like people you've kind of made built up yourself.
The weakness with that is that you get hit on the making a fully realized character front. Bless you.
Yeah.
Which in this game, it's super important that the characters are their own characters, and you need to get to know them, and like you can design a character and their combat style as a unit. And I think
that is right. It's kind of important that the characters are who they are in this game.
Yeah. So XCOM, I think, does a really good job with this, where like all of the characters that have character development in your game are your support staff in your base. They're like your scientist, your operations guy, your engineer. So like you have a connection with them, and like, oh, this is like our characters that have actual personalities. But then the people you send out, you have a more like attached of like, oh, I built this person from the ground up sense to it, and so you kind of get the betterment when like something happens on one side. You feel something.
This is where Fire Emblem is kind of genius, because like the important characters are your the only units you can bring out, and they will die forever. And it's like, you are a person who was important to the plot, and now you're dead.
Yeah.
Well, except if you're really important to the plot, you're not dead. You're just permanently injured.
You're wounded, and then you die of your wounds later.
Much later.
I guess probably the last thing I'd say about Triangle Strategy is, so far, I think it does a really good job with characterization. Like, after a pretty short amount of time with these characters, I get to the voting process, and I can already kind of tell like what I think each character would want to hear. And so you just kind of get a feel for people really quickly. And probably the record for that was, there's this one character, she was introduced, had like 5 seconds of screen time, and then she said her very first line. I was like, wow, what a bitch. And I immediately was like, I want to fight her in battle really badly.
Well, that's good on Triangle Tactics Strategy. We will keep an eye out on that game for sure. Very quickly, I wanted to bring up something that we did during me and Bradley's hotel stay, which was watching The Visit and A Quiet Place.
Oh, man.
I believe I've talked about The Quiet Place before, because I've watched it before. Just a solid movie, really good filmmaking, because of the way that you're limited in sound. You have to do so much through just physical acting.
Like for me, for A Quiet Place, like I think the greatest value of it as a movie, like it was entertaining, but I think just as an experiment, it's really interesting because, you know, once you know the premise, you're like, okay, well, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do this? How are they going to do this? And it's just really cool how the whole thing's executed.
And like the plot of The Quiet Place is, you can't make sound in this world, and the main characters are doing maybe the loudest thing a human can do. And they have to figure out how to do that extremely loud, natural human thing without alerting the sound monsters. Just saying.
It's not sex.
It's not sex, I promise, but it is the post game of sex. But with my snoring, I would have died day one, free.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't. I would be a detriment to everyone. We also watched The Visit. I've been meaning to watch The Visit by M. Night Shyamalan for a long time.
Oh, this is with the grandparents, right?
This is the one with the grandparents. Fun movie. It's got like good humor. It's got like really creepy moments. What's really fun is the twist.
Yeah.
And what is super fun is that we came in a little late to the movie, but I was able to I was able to finally piece together the twist without we missed a little bit of the beginning context right at the last second, right before they like reveal the twist, because I was like, why are they making this decision in the narrative? Like, why are they even having this conversation? It feels out of place. It was like, oh, because it's building up to this twist, and it was that twist.
It was funny because like I had quote unquote seen this movie before. It's like I was in the same room as my brother who was watching it back when it came out. So like I remembered a bunch of these scenes, but I didn't remember like what was really cool with the it's like fuck, it's on the tip of my brain.
I love The Visit. Like, I'm not the biggest M. Night Shyamalan fan, but I think The Visit's actually one of his better movies. I think I like the twist. I like the presentation. The premise is somewhat believable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a
It's
scene,
really gonna make you uncomfortable as fuck.
There's a scene with a diaper that really made my skin crawl.
Yeah.
You guys are getting a little robot-y. I don't know if that's my internet failing. I think it is because sometimes y'all's webcam goes off, but oh well.
Well, arigato.
I digress. Let's jump into actual topics. We should go...
Wait, before we do that, I just want to let everybody know this is our 50th episode.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
No.
We're 2 episodes away from 1 episode every weekend, everybody. Yeah.
I mean, we're like over 2 years in now, so...
We're
That's not bad.
failures.
That's not bad, actually.
Well, we have a bunch of other...
We do a lot of side piece content.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it started as one thing and then like a bunch of stuff kind of broke off to be their own things.
I've said it many times. I wish I could just delete everything we did up until like episode 30 of the podcast, where we finally got our footing right.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Up to you know, when somebody joined full time.
Yeah. No longer special guest. Post Disney World, really.
Post, we put Warb and One Piece in their own video, and everything got significantly better.
Also makes scheduling surprisingly a lot easier, because then rather than set aside like 5 hours, we only have to set aside like 2 or 3.
Yeah. Speaking of keeping things to 2 and 3 hours, Joe, why don't you tell me about Die? What is this, Tyler? You know?
So Tyler and I, as well as our friend Kelsey and Cirquette, played an RPG for the past month. I want to say we played it for a month.
Yep.
It's a system called Die, which is based off of a comic with the same name. I don't want to really go into the whole, like, it's a really nice little like isekai-esque RPG. Basically, you play real people who get transported to a fantasy realm. It's kind of neat. It's got some really cool mechanics. It's very simple. Like, you only roll 6-sided dice for most of your like actions, with the exception of a few, and those few actions are very thematic to the character you are playing. I, for example, played a character called the Godbinder, which was basically like their whole thing was they had to wheel and deal with the gods that be to get powers and boons and favors with everybody, which kind of ended up saving the party at the very end, which is really cool. And you kind of like create your own gods as well. Tyler is taking offense to this.
Okay, all right. This is the first time I've ever done D&D, and Joe's like, I saved everybody at the end. And I'm like,
I did.
Joe, you're the reason our session ended at 1:30 instead of 9:30.
Yeah, because I decided to save everybody.
No, it was your fault to begin with.
No, it was my fault that I went on that long, but it was because I was like, I got to make sure we all live, and I did.
We wouldn't have died, you bitch.
No, like someone already died, and it's like I had to do this thing to bring them back to life.
So, this is the first time I've ever done D&D. It's really fun.
Tabletop RPG.
Yeah. I found it interesting to get into. I realized like you have to like warm up and drink to get into character, or at least I do. I'm not a professional at it. I'm very much amateur.
You're the actor of like the entire group, sir.
Yeah, but I've never done tabletop. Some people just like fall into character. I'm just like, nah, I gotta get in there, you know?
Yeah.
Tyler had a warm up phase for sure. But y'all did great. Like Kelsey was another friend of ours played with us. She had never played before, but always wanted to play something like it, and she did phenomenal. She was like the all-star of the entire group. I feel.
Oh yeah, she really started like thriving in her character. Our DM was great. They really set up a nice story and prepared well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, she did great. I think the game itself was just a really fun time. I have a personal opinion that if everyone played a tabletop RPG with their friends, like literally everyone, we'd probably have world peace in the world, because it's just there's a weird kinship and bond you get when you play the game, and you laugh the entire time, even in the most dire of moments, and it's very hard to not have a good time.
I want to do a tabletop RPG.
It's a lot of fun.
I had a bad time the last session.
Because you are analysis paralysis and cannot make a decision to save your goddamn life.
No, that is not at all. So here's what happened.
Over the break, I had no internet, so I decided to read Rohan at the Louvre.
Okay.
Yo, no spoilies.
Can I cut y'all off here?
Yeah, spoilers. As long as you don't do any spoilers.
I will not do spoilers. Okay, so, for Christmas, a friend of mine got me a JoJo spin-off comic drawn by Araki around parts 7 and 8 called Rohan at the Louvre. Louvre? I don't know how to say that word. Louvre. It's French.
It's Louvre. No, it's just L-O-U-V. Louvre.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an R there, so...
there is, but you're right.
Louvre. So I've never read or watched, because there are now some adaptations to these stories, any of the Rohan side stories. So this was really fun to get into when I still had daylight and no energy, Switch dead, conserving 3DS power to play Radiant Historia, which I'll talk about one day because that game is badass. And I was like, okay, let's read Rohan at the Louvre. This is a story that takes place after part 4, and it's Rohan reminiscing on some things that happened earlier in his youth, and then going on to investigate that in current time. So it's pretty interesting, and I feel like this is the strength of part 4 in particular. I feel like Araki could make infinite part 4 side stories. And he doesn't have to do Rohan. He can do any of the characters in Mario, because part 4 is eternal as far as time is concerned. But this story concerns Rohan remembering something that he learned when he lived with his grandma at an inn that she had, and then one of the tenants there, Rohan fell in love with her, and then she disappeared one day. And then the current timeline story is him chasing up that mystery, which involves finding a cursed painting at the Louvre. This story is fucked up, y'all. This is some of the darkest shit in JoJo's.
Oh, really?
I was not expecting that going in. It gets really disturbing. Big body horror, big mental trauma. The one that I really liked it, I liked seeing... the Mario boys in part 7 style. Okuyasu looks so fucking funny.
Oh man.
I'm really bummed because Josuke is like a golden god, so Araki doesn't let him speak or show his face. He just shows Josuke. Like, they're having tea together. It's Rohan, Josuke, Koichi, and Okuyasu. And you can see Koichi and Okuyasu, and they're talking, and they have speaking parts. But Josuke is just there drinking his tea, and it's like, man, I miss you, my boy. But yeah, like it's a really fun side story. I really enjoy it. I want more of these, but like Araki's got his hands full writing a fucking masterpiece right now. So I guess I'll let him do what he's doing.
On a scale of 1 to Jojolion, how like batshit insane is this?
This is like... It's not Jojolion batshit. It's probably like late game part 6 batshit, which is 9.
Okay.
It's a 9. So,
yeah, okay. Because like the latest chapter is we're at the tipping point, I feel, with Araki's like
just going
what the
insane.
fuck are you... Yeah, you're just like, ugh.
Someone left an interesting comment that you should go check out in our JoJo.
Ah.
But regardless, the one thing I disliked about this story is I felt like it was a bit inconsistent with Rohan's character in the youth. There's a scene where Rohan has the chance to use Heaven's Door on a girl, and then he feels like would be passing some boundaries. And this is before the whole Koichi incident, in which Rohan said, "Fuck boundaries, I'm gonna torture this kid." So it's hard to reconcile in my mind how Rohan got from point A to B eventually.
Well, he could just be jaded by life, and at some point, it's just like,
This was before. This was when he was drawing his one shot to get into Shonen Jump magazine, so he wasn't who he is now, the famous mangaka. So that could be it. It could also be like a thing of like, because manga is involved in like. There's a couple of ways, but like with Araki, especially in his current writing style, it's a lot of show don't tell. And I was just saying this in our most recent JoJolion. I wish you would just tell just a little bit more every once in a while.
I think it's interesting that you said it was so dark, because I wasn't this made as like almost promotional material for the Louvre?
Yes, like a bunch of randos get omega fucked at the Louvre, and it's like, go check out the Louvre. It's like, whoa, how did they let this get by? They must have known what they were signing up for when you get a Rocky.
Because it's art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's also the Gucci bag side story. So I'm interested.
Oh, is that in there?
Well, no, I think I have not yet read the Gucci bag one, but
that's one with Jolene, right? I think I read that somewhere.
No, it's Rohan.
It's that?
Rohan finds a Gucci bag with a stand.
Oh, yes, I have read that. That one's fucking weird.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I also read the first volume of my 4-volume JoJonium sets of Part 2. I just want to briefly visit how I felt about it this time around. Part 2 is just so much better than Part 1 in every way, but also like its pacing is so infectious, and the manga adds like, this is a thing with every JoJo part, the manga always adds a little bit of extra characterization here and there. So I really enjoyed going through that, because I'm used to like the anime adaptation. But like, I think the Straits fight is straight fire. I think the Santana fight is so good. It is so creepy. Joseph is a tricky little fuck in that fight. I love the ending of like dragging Santana out into the sun, and then Santana goes into Stroheim, and then the well part, just really well executed. I basically got to the part where Joseph bluffed his way out of like the mineshaft segment, and now he's in a monogamous or polyamorous relationship with AC/DC and Wham, because they put wedding rings in his heart. But
yeah,
fun time.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed going through that again.
Cool.
I'll probably finish it at some point. Tyler, tell me about Vagante.
Man, Bradley gonna tell you about Vagante too.
Dude,
I played a bit too.
And
I love this. I've played like 100 hours of this game now.
Okay.
And 10 of those were probably like the past 1 to 2 weeks.
What? Yeah, when we were playing with Bradley, and like when he said that, I was like, "What the fuck?" And like, because I never heard this game.
I feel like this just popped up during Hell Week.
Yeah, I was like, "What is this game?" Like,
so
this
Vagante is a 2D action roguelike
RPG. It has
it's
RPG.
like it kind of plays like Spelunky, but it's an RPG with numbers,
Okay.
And goddamn, I really like the numbers in this game. They're all really small, so like just finding a weapon with one more in its damage stat feels like a lot to me.
Yeah, the
really
numbers
like it.
are really small. You like are descending down into this dungeon like thing. And the best part about it is it's multiplayer, and it's really fun to play with your friends.
Oh yeah.
So basically the way it works is that you have separate classes you can be. You have like the warrior class, you have like the mage class, then you have like the rogue class, and then you have the dog class. But basically all these classes are kind of like very much like staple like D&D-esque or RPG fantasy-esque characters, but then you can like subclass into each of those different things. Like the mage has a class that's all about potions or all about enchantments, he can like take your weapons, enchant them, and give them back to you. So you all have like elemental boons now with your weapons. So you have a lot of flexibility in how you want to build things, and I think that's really, really cool for a roguelike.
And dude, there's also like a shitload of secrets in this game. Like, I had played this game for most of my current playtime before me and my cousin and my brother found out that like if you so like there's these altars that appear where like they all have different effects. Like one of them you can offer up equipment you don't want to reroll for new equipment. But apparently if you offer up enough blunt weapons in a row, you can get like Thor's hammer, and it's a unique item. And I think all the altars have some shit like that. And I don't know, I love the secrets in it.
Yeah, it's very much Spelunky.
Very Spelunky.
The Spelunky RPG.
Yeah, it's got a boss on every level. The one thing I have about it is like, and this is my complaint about any game that has a magic class in it. Like, if you're going to have a magic class, you have to give them some sort of like crowd control utility abilities. And
they have those.
We didn't find any in our playthrough. All of them were my damage based.
No, they have them.
The mage starts with Frost Nova, which is pretty useful.
That's a good like freezing one, but like I didn't find any other kind of like push spells or like maneuvering spells or just there's like dash. Yeah. But like I want to be able to do things to enemies that aren't just damage. Like I want to be able to displace them or freeze them or stun them or make them attack other people. Like
those exist.
But we never found them in our playthrough.
No, I found them. You're just bad.
I mean, you never gave them to me if you found them. Like, it's just, you would just take them.
No, I never used those. We had bad luck.
Yeah. But it's a neat game. I'd probably only play it with these two again when they wanted to play it. But
yeah, I pretty much only play it multiplayer. Like I have played it single player.
I do like though that there's no friendly fire in the game. That's really important.
If there was friendly fire, it would be too difficult.
You could not beat that game. It would be fucking impossible.
When you say it's like Spelunky, is it just because it's 2D, or do you like the thing that makes Spelunky is that there's hundreds of things that have 1 to 2 functions. They're very simple, but they're all put in a map together, which creates never before seen combinations.
I mean Spelunky in that like it controls, like it plays like Spelunky.
You like have drop down. It has vertical axe. Like you have a lot of platforming.
You crawl off ledges. It has the dart traps and shit like that. I don't know. Okay. It plays like Spelunky.
Okay. Yeah, it's a control scheme kind of like Spelunky.
Yeah, it's like if you had the same control scheme but different mechanics.
Yeah,
understood. What is Valheim? Like you guys just started playing a bunch of shit I've never. This I've heard is Minecraft. Yes.
No, absolutely not. So that's the only reason I've been playing this game is because it's not like Minecraft. It has base building.
Pause. You put like dozens of hours recently into Minecraft.
No, I put dozens of hours into bees.
Okay, sorry.
That is very different.
Move on.
So this is a survival action game, similar to more like Rust and Ark, where you dropped off in the wild and you gather resources to build up a base, and there's a lot of combat. But the cool thing about this one, it has a really unique art style where it's a 3D world, but it's like got this nice pixely textures that's applied to a lot of stuff. So the artistic choices that they've made for the game make it to where it's built like triangle strategy, where there's like really out there lighting and everything, but a lot of the textures are low res, they're pixely, and it's all done intentionally, so it's very nice.
Yeah, it's like 2D sprites with a bunch of post processing.
A little bit, yeah. Okay. But it's set in Viking purgatory. So all of the lore and mythos and the aesthetic for the world is all Viking based. So they have like Viking boats, like you fight Xerneas, basically, which is a giant, like the Pokemon? Yeah, you literally fight Xerneas as the first boss.
Badass.
So the way you progress in this game in terms of survival is through defeating bosses. So it's very similar to Terraria in that sense, where beating a boss equals progression, and there's lots of build-up in between each boss and survival and exploration in order to get to that next boss. So like we beat the first boss really easy. Like we had a base, we just got some like stone stuff together and we're like, yeah, we got it. We beat it, we're good. We thought we took like another 4 or 5 days until we fought the second boss, and we thought we were ready, and it's like, oh no, were we not ready for that shit? Like we almost got wiped. It was ridiculous, and I really like that aspect of it. It's in early access, so there's a lot of glaring UX features. They intend to be working on the project. Like they already have a roadmap planned out where they're saying, hey, we're going to be working on this update, that update, then this, you know. It's a lot of fun. You can play it with your friends, up to 10 people on a server. You can enable PvP, and they've like accommodated for that as well. And you can tell it's early access as you get into the later game. There's some unfun UX that will probably entertain a lot of people.
Oh, good.
Like I found this monster that kills me in one hit, and I don't like it because the world generation is kind of wonky. Where I need to go to this one place, but I can only get there by going to the place where they all one-hit me, shot me, and I don't want to spend another 5 to 10 hours looking for another version of that same biome.
Okay.
So that's where I'm kind of stuck at it. The base building is really cool if you're into that. The way they've done building in it is it's freeform with like where it like as well as like things click into place. So like if you're building fences, like it'll snap, like the fences will snap together and it'll be like, oh yeah, now you have a straight nice fence. Or you can do it where it's like freeform fences and stuff like that.
I do like snap to places.
Yeah, and the scroll wheel is like what you use to rotate. So base building is done pretty smoothly. It's a fun survival experience that I wouldn't say is... It's a fun open world survival game where I don't have to worry about PvP like Rust or Ark, and I don't have to break the game in order to survive from other players. That still exists if you want to play on open servers, but I don't like doing that, so it's very nice to just have a casual survival experience.
Casual.
Nice.
My problem with all survival games that I don't know what I'm trying to get to. That's why I like Factorio is like your ultimate goal is to build a rocket ship and get off the fucking planet. So there's some guided way of what you have an end goal in mind. I don't know if Valheim has that at all. Do you know, Tyler?
It's probably beat the final boss, right?
I mean, imagine, but like, did he just freeze? Did Tyler just die?
I think so. But
that is a frozen boy. Yes.
When he and Austin were describing it to me, they said it's a lot like Terraria, where like you progress the entire world by killing a certain boss. Mm-hmm. And I imagine it's that same way where there's like a final boss, and once you kill it, it's like it's technically a sandbox, so you can keep playing. But once you beat the final boss, for all intents and purposes, like that's the end of the game.
It sounded like Terraria to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's like, to me, like the point of survival is of survival games, I feel, is your motivation should be to dig you out of the hole for your character where you no longer are in that situation. You know, maybe I'm just crazy.
Well,
it must depend on the survival game.
Yeah,
I think the problem is with the word survival, because I think survival is used too broadly. To label games, because like Minecraft is quote unquote survival. I mean, like it's not like you're having to scrounge.
There's a mode that is like undoubtedly survival, right?
The mode that is called survival mode I wouldn't even call it a survival game.
Yeah, okay. The thing, but like in Terraria, you kind of like just start off on like a plain field, right? It's not like you start in town and then you go off and do things.
Because like Don't Starve is a survival game. Because you're trying to survive. Yes. Minecraft is it's a sandbox game. I would never call it survival.
Baby's first survival experience.
Yeah, and like dying in Minecraft doesn't really have. It has a consequence, but like not in the sense of like don't starve or don't starve if you die. Your game's done. You've lost. You have to start over, or you go back to your last save. Whereas Minecraft is you wake up in your bed and you go collect your shit. But like because we're talking about this, like there are so many mechanics in the games like that I like the idea of, but like the lack of this is what you are trying to do is what kind of like drives me away from like Minecraft is like if you go and just start playing Minecraft, you would not know you need to build a portal to go fight the Ender Dragon and go kill the Ender Dragon.
Yeah.
Like you don't
have to
know
look
that.
up. Like there.
Yeah. Like you would, as far as you would know, you would be digging around and building stuff. Like Factorio, when it starts to tell you your goal is to build a rocket ship and get off the planet. And Dyson Sphere, it tells you your goal is to build a Dyson Sphere. And like the game tells you what you're supposed to do. So you have an idea of like what you need to be striving for. I'm not sure if Valheim does that. It's a really small thing. Even if like you drop into Valheim and it's like your goal is go kill this god. Like cool, I could do it. That would be more than enough to get me started playing it. But
that is a thing that like I never realized I don't like that until you said it, but now I'm like, yeah, it does kind of make me like, because I like these kinds of games, but occasionally there will be times where I'm like, if this wasn't on the wiki, I would have literally never guessed that in a million years.
Like, even look at Stardew Valley. Like, Stardew Valley is pretty sandboxy in terms of its like farming simulator.
I feel like they hit you with that 3-year time limit and the little spirit house thing the community center, and I feel like that is guidance.
Yeah, like it's just I want a little like I want freedom is great, but you know. Guidance of what you're supposed to do, I feel the game can really help you out and just really like getting invested into that game. And like that's kind of why I don't like Minecraft. It's like you go in there and like if I were to boot up Minecraft without looking up anything, it'd just be a field.
Yeah. I think the good thing about like within these games, shilling Terraria here.
Yeah.
The good thing about Terraria is, you know, the idea with Terraria, you know, you beat all the bosses, and a lot of the like most of the bosses have like some obscure way to summon them, but the game and its world, its procedurally generated world, mind you, are always constructed in such a way that like you can accidentally discover these obscure ways of summoning the bosses by accident on your own just from naturally playing, and that's cool.
How does Terraria start? Like when you boot up the game, like what does it tell you and what you're trying to do?
You boot up in your fucking field and there's a bunch of NPCs in the game. One of them is there at the start and he's the guide and he'll tell you stuff like, you know, you can go here to do this, make this kind of item to do this, blah, 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 blah. Hey, by the way, like over there's a cursed temple with a thing who guards it, or like, hey, in this many days, maybe this boss will appear or some shit like that.
See, like that's enough to be like, oh, there's stuff happening here. I should try to like prepare for that. Like even like the idea of like, oh, there's a cursed temple up here. That in me procs the idea of like, I should go see what that is.
I gotta go see the fucking cursed temple.
Yeah, I gotta go see what that is. Oh, okay. I need this. I need to figure out a way to overcome this. Let me go back and figure it out. Like it's the idea of like, you know, that just simple gameplay loop. But you have to start off with like. It's like starting a car or like a gas burn. Like you have to have that initial like light or spark to get you going. And like that's why like Ark Survival, people told me to play. It's like this game I drop in the middle of a field and it's like what? But I want a goal. That's what I really really want in a game. It's like give me a goal to do.
All right. That's good survival. I do agree with you. I feel like now that you say it, that is how I feel, and that's why I can't get into a lot of survival games. Let's take a break while we try to like rescue Tyler from wherever the fuck he went.
Didn't he just get good internet today?
Yeah,
and then...
that's the lie he told us. Yes. Y'all, we found Tyler. He's back. He's alive. Just in time to talk about his favorite topic: fighting games.
Hey.
No, this is a me and Joe conversation. We've recently been playing the Guilty Gear Strive beta. This is the beta for the newest Guilty Gear game coming out. Guilty Gear Strive. I wasn't super interested in this game when it got announced, because I have this thing about anime fighters where they're just like, or as some people might call them, air dashers. There's just a lot going on. You have to like dash in and do like these complicated combos. And look, I'm down to get into it, but those games also have very short player bases. Like if you're not in when they come out, you're out because they have code.
It has a very high floor and then a very infinite ceiling, I feel.
Yeah,
because
like the player expression is super crazy.
Yeah.
The anime fighter I have been able to get into of late is BlazBlue Cross Tag, because of just like the high damage, like quick rounds. That's what I want in my anime fighter, as opposed to something like Dragon Ball Z Fighters, which I don't like. Plus the neutral in that game is fucking ass, because Super Dash is maybe my least favorite fighting game mechanic ever introduced, but I digress. Guilty Gear Strive aims to change a lot of that. It is a more grounded Guilty Gear iteration with super high damage, relatively small combos, and some really smart things done to make execution easier than it could be, to make it easier to get into, but still has a very high skill ceiling with a lot of player expression.
You only have to do half a Dragon Punch to do some skills rather than a full one.
I don't know what that means.
The Z, you don't have to do a full Z for some of the abilities. It's just usually to the right and then down, and then that's
Is that real?
for some ability. Yeah.
Oh,
so
weird.
it makes executing those a little bit easier, because that move is just makes my brain hurt.
So a couple things I would like to bring up with Strive. One, the high damage means that the high damage in the wall system, because I feel like the two go hand to hand. In most fighting games, when you're pinned up in the wall, you have to climb your way out.
Yeah.
In Strive, they've added a mechanic where if you get hit near the wall too much, you get wall splatted, and then the person hitting you can do another hit of their choosing after the splat to crash you through the wall into the other part of the stage, but that resets both of you into the middle of the stage. Now, that might seem like kind of lame, because keeping people in the corner is pretty fun in fighting games, but given the damage being as high as it is, you realistically can't keep people in the corner forever. Plus, you get like interesting mechanics based on that wall splat mechanic. So I feel like it's fresh, and I think a good change to normal fighting game standards.
It also, like, when you're at the lower level, it helps when you for a lot of people, they don't know how to get out of that corner, climb out of it, so it gives them a chance to reset and try to get their bearings again.
And if you do crash someone through the wall, sure, you don't have the corner anymore, but you get what's called positive edge, which means you build more meter for the either the rest of the round or for a time after the wall crash.
Was that what that means? Because I couldn't figure it out.
Then there's also,
that's really cool.
This is a Guilty Gear tradition of having negative edge, where if you play too defensive and you just down, you're moving backwards a lot, you're not advancing, you're just jumping backwards, you get a negative edge, which means you get less meter. But Guilty Gear wants you to play relatively aggressive.
Yeah.
So another cool thing that they did in this game, and it takes a while to get adjusted to, because it's got big UI elements to help you out with. When you get a counter hit, which in a fighting game, a counter hit is when someone starts doing a move and you hit them before that move gets activated. They get counter hitted, which usually means they get stunned for a little bit longer than usual, which means you can do combos that you can only do in a counter hit state. So in this game, when you get counter hitted, the announcer will yell, "Counter! Look, you got it!" And the screen will freeze a little bit, which takes some getting used to, but once you're used to it, it's like, oh, that's super nice, because you have more time to mentally think and link your counters, which makes the game really interesting, because every counter hit will be followed upon once the player gets accustomed enough. It won't be like a counter hit and then you don't react to it. People will usually react to it given the time. And then everything else is pretty Guilty Gear. You got your Actually, there is one more thing. When you do a Roman cancel, which is a Guilty Gear staple, basically you can spend half of your bar to cancel any attack you did and reset yourself, so you get to like extend combos in any freeform way you want. In this game, a Roman cancel will properly like slow down the opponent, and you can actually move forward at normal speed in that time. So basically,
I think you have
just
to
get,
like
really easy links off of your Roman cancels.
Yeah, but I also think for that Roman cancel, you have to like when you do it, there's like a little plume shoots out of you like light. You have to hit the person with that light, or it does not work.
Yeah, well,
so you can't just be like
it'll still
across the
cancel
map.
you, but it won't give you the slowdown.
Yeah, it won't give you the slowdown. So like you can't be like halfway across the map and then do it and then like dive in and try to go off somewhere. You have to already be on the
offensive. The thing that's making this the next big fighting game is the well-implemented rollback netcode, which means that people are able to play with each other without having to worry as much about a Wi-Fi player coming in and ruining your fun. As a fighting game player, we do not stand for Wi-Fi scrubs, but even me and Joe's internet sucks, and we're having pretty great games aside from like
for fighting games.
Fighting games, yes, because fighting games in particular, it doesn't matter how fast your Wi-Fi is; it's about packet loss, which Wi-Fi has an inherent packet loss. And like it's a free beta. It's still going on tonight, maybe even tomorrow. This video probably won't go up till at least tomorrow, so get in while you can if you haven't heard about it. It's free. And
comes out in April?
Yeah, I don't know, dude, how I'm gonna wait that long. Like,
this game was not on my radar.
So many fucking rounds over this weekend, and I love it. I'm having such a good time. Guilty Gear hasn't always clicked with me, but like this one is the one that it is. So
yeah, as someone that's not as proficient in fighting games as Willer has, what I really like is that they have their command lists, and I feel like they took a lot of what they learned from what's Grand Blue, where like they simplified a lot of like your technique combos, like your invincible hits or like your cross up hits.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit more easier to execute, but a lot of those have a lot more windows of countering, and like I feel as well. So like you really have to be knowledgeable of what you're doing. Like right now, I've been playing Giovanna. And like on a 1-to-1 fight against Giovanna, if I play the mirror match, I will win basically a lot at my like level. Like I just because I know how she works, I know what her windows are.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, oh, I know I get hit when this happens when someone does this, so you're able to do it.
I'm so proud of this. I feel like a proud dad right now. Go on, son. Keep talking.
But like that's always my problem with fighting games is that I don't get enough with like certain characters. Oh no, he died. I don't get enough with like certain characters like versus that when like Faust. I have played Faust once.
The thing about Faust is he has randomized projectiles. So even Faust doesn't know what he's throwing at you.
Okay, I beat him once. I was like, "What the fuck?" He's basically like fighting game fiddlesticks.
Yes,
theme.
That is such a good way to put it.
But like it was like I was like, "What the fuck?" Like he turns into two like scarecrows. And you have to guess what scarecrow he is, and you're like, "What is happening?"
They have a lot of fun with the movesets in this game.
Yeah, I think the character designs are great. The game looks like kind of phenomenal.
Here's the thing about Arc System Works games: they look beautiful. They're like Dragon Ball Z, Guilty Gear Xrd, Grand Blue. They're stunners.
For some reason, in my brain, it didn't click that this game was a 3D game.
Yeah, it is.
Like they're 3D models because it's just the way everything is animated. It's like it's so fluid.
Well, their patent style, I believe, is that they get 3D models and create frames out of the animations of those models to control it like in a way that is a 2D fighting game style. So in this game, I'm playing Mei. Mei is a character I've always liked from a distance, but I don't like Guilty Gear up until now. So it's like, oh, Mei, one day. So Mei is this little pirate girl. She's the first mate of the jellyfish pirates, and she goes, by the window, when she wins. She attacks you with relentless dolphin assaults and a giant anchor. I love anchors as weapons, so I'm just swinging this thing and feeling super powerful. And I went into training mode in between matches, because you can be in training mode and go to a match like every other modern fighting game. And I learned my shit. The thing with Mei... Alright, let me educate y'all on some fighting game shit. Tyler's dying right now.
What's new?
So fighting games have a style of character called a charge character. I am notoriously bad at playing charge characters, but also notoriously bad at not being attracted to them on an aesthetic level. It's a really bad thing.
Like, is it like Tickle Fingers and Brawly? And Broly?
No, there are no charge characters in Dragon Ball, but here's an example of...
What is it? Is charge, do you mean like charge as in like special meter charge, or charge as in forward?
No, I think their
Charge-
abilities have delay and...
No, charge is a type of character. It's a type of input. So you know how you have your fireball inputs, which is a quarter circle forward, right?
Yeah.
A charge input, and here's the most basic charge characters are Chun-Li, Guile, and Blanca from Street Fighter, right? So a charge character, you need to hold back for a second and then flick forward and press a button to do their move. You can also hold down back so you're not moving backwards and then flick forward.
Gag.
I hate charge inputs.
Yeah, I don't like them.
I'm doing them now. There's also a down to up input, and you have to be like really fast with that one, because like if you're too slow, you'll jump instead of doing the attack. So you need to like, before your character leaves the ground, input in the button to do the move.
I think a big part of why you're maybe, but this is me speculating here. A big part of why it might be clicking for you now is, well, number one is that it's an aesthetic that you really like, but number two, May's character design makes sense because she's swinging around this heavy anchor. It makes sense that you have to kind of do a movement to do that.
Joe's super right, but this is a thing with every charge character. Charge characters tend to have really good buttons, like just their normal button presses tend to be good and have good range and speed, because you need to press them, and like while you're pressing them, you start holding back. So by the time the attack is done, you're already pressing forward to do the charge attack. If I designed a fighting game, I would reinvent charge characters, and here's how. Basically, you have a meter. Every charge character has a little circle at the bottom right or bottom left of their bar that is glowing while they have a charge, and you lose a charge as soon as you move forward or you press up. Boom. So that way, if you're standing still or holding backwards, you build that 1 second charge and you can just press forward and attack. But if the moment you press forward, you lose charge. Which is essentially, the whole idea of a charge character is you can only charge your attack while you're not moving forward or jumping. And that's like their whole thing. Anyways, another reason why it's working for me with May is the super long counter hit timers. I think they also implemented a thing where like the charge motion is instant. You don't have to have like, it's like really easy to input when you land a counter hit. Anyways, fantastic game. Fuck anyone who plays Soul, Kisuke, and
fuck those
honestly,
two.
like Axel Low can go fuck himself.
That's the ninja guy, right?
Axel Low, no, that's Chip. Axel Low's the guy with the Kusina, the little whip scythe. That guy would just zone you out all day.
No,
fuck him.
But yeah. Fuck Axel, fuck Kisuke in general. Like his projectiles are
Kisuke's
dumb.
the Ryu of the game. So the way you beat Kisuke is you just neutral double jump and make him have to come to you. You just wait for him to come, because you cannot go to him. No way.
No, like it's so, and like he has a mechanic, because I was looking at him, where it's like if you get hit by him, you have a stun on you, which means any other further move he does on you has double damage or something. Shit like
the
that.
electricity. That's a fuck.
Yes.
Oh my god. Also, Saul bad guy's fire attack.
It's way too
really
quick.
Annoying.
Yeah, it goes out instantly.
So I'm a May player who is like the filth. Like May is like Blanca, where you do not shake Blanca players' hands. You don't look them in the eye. They're filth of the community, and I am playing the filth. So who am I to speak? But hey, my dolphins are not as bad as Kisuke's beams. All right. So,
did you know he has a fate with that move?
No.
He has a fate where he does the backwards half, the counter whatever. You go backwards away from your opponent quarter circle and you feint it. It's an instantaneous, like it's like boom, and like it goes back immediately, so you can't even tell the difference. It's
find a picture of Ramlethal and send it to Bradley, because that girl is right.
Yeah, I'll find her.
Okay, that's Guilty Gear, y'all. I'll be talking about it once the game properly comes out, and I'm
picking this up game one. I had way too much fun.
Let's go.
Which I never thought I would say with a fighting game. Like Willer is.
You're in there now.
Yeah, it's really upsetting.
Tyler, thank you for the thumbnails. He makes these fresh off the oven. Okay, next up, we're going to talk about, if I can pull up my shit. Okay, I finished Judgement. I'll be quick here because I've talked about this before. Judgement is the spin-off Yakuza game where you play as a lawyer who quit being a lawyer after he got a guy off, which is this. You guys made fun of me for saying it that way last time too. God damn it. What is the other way to say? He gets a guy acquitted who went on to murder his girlfriend, and the girlfriend was a really nice person, and you're just going through the guilt, so you're just a detective now instead of a lawyer. That game's story is so fucking good. The mystery is so engrossing. Every cutscene is just grabbing you by the balls. I will say some of the main storyline has some chaff missions that I feel like could have been optional missions. I still enjoy them, and I still like the optional missions. They're some of the best parts of Yakuza games. The combat was also pretty solid. Yakuza games combat, nothing to write home about, but this was really fun. The cinematography in this game is insane. The cutscenes look like S-tier films. The battle cutscenes are some of the coolest choreography I've ever seen. Did I send y'all part of the final fight where you get launched off a window and it's oh my god, I think about that a lot. It's so cool. I really hope they make a Judgment 2. I really like the main. Like, it's really hard to follow up Kiryu as a main character because Kiryu is a S-tier character. But
phenomenal character.
Yagami is just as good. Yeah, I did it. It's probably my second favorite Yakuza game, story-wise. And here's the thing, Yakuza 0's story is maybe one of the best stories of anything that exists for me. It is so tight, so good. This...
I'll do it one day.
Yeah, one day you'll do it. This scratches up on that, maybe even beats it by a little bit, but Yakuza 0 has the better overall game. It all hits with the sub-stories. The combat is really arcadey and fun with more styles. The mini-games, the Cabaret Club management minigame and the real estate minigame are both fire. This one has the drone racing minigame, which I really like. What else is unique to it? It has the VR board game minigame, which is pretty alright. It has the best iterations of Mahjong and all that. It has the best Sega arcade because you can play Virtua Fighter 5, which is a like PS3 game. You can just play that for free. You can play Puyo Puyo. You can play Fighting Vipers. You can play Fantasy Zone. They got a good collection of arcade games in this one.
Nice.
Really good game. Love it. Bradley.
Yes.
We have finished the Somnium Files.
We have.
After a long campaign, roughly 26 hours. I like the length of that. That is a well-length.
Yeah. I think for those type of like investigative, very novelish games, 25 to 30 hours I think is your sweet spot.
Yeah, I think 30. Well, 13 Sentinels is 40, and that's brilliant.
But that also has like its whole RTS thing. Yeah. True. So you're a little bit more involved with it.
Yeah, with pure investigation style games. Bradley, what do you think of Eye of the Somnium Files, especially in relation to the other Uchikoshis that you've played?
I thought it was pretty damn fun. Like, I think we've talked about this before, where what this game does, like, its highest, most powerful strength is characterization.
We love the characters.
Every single one of these characters, we would be a few sentences in to their introduction and be like, oh my god, I love them. I already know like how I should feel about them and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know. They were all so fun. Best cast of characters fucking ever. The game itself, it's a pretty damn good mystery, I think.
It's a good mystery. It's less mindfucky than the other two, but also it's just a really good, like, it's solid. It is a solid. There's a couple of things you could like scratch at, like some people letting people get away from rooms that they shouldn't let. People aren't careful enough in certain scenarios, which is the only reason the plot can happen. Aside from that, really tight writing.
The premise, so I remember, is you're just basically solving a murder or a serial killer. It's not as like profoundly strange as like the Zero Escape series.
You are a detective in a special investigation unit that dives into people's dreams in order to investigate. And you are chasing down a serial killer, but also you don't have memories of 6 years ago. And like your life started 6 years ago as far as you're concerned, and your left eyeball is an AI that talks to you. Aside from that, pretty standard.
Pretty standard.
Well, like, I think, like, you know, that's whatever. I can get behind that. But, like, when you get to, like, the crazy likeness of, like... a murder is pretty simple of an idea of, like, of a starting...
It's not 999, and you haven't finished VLR, and it's definitely not VLR crazy.
Yeah. That's, like... I think that's a good change of pace, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like you have two choices. You either go crazy story, but you keep everyone else grounded, or you do a very grounded story, but go crazy everywhere else.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Which is what I feel like Phoenix Wright does. And you know, that's one of my favorite franchises, so I got some fun
Where's
with that.
Where's 7? God, where's 7?
You know, they announced the 2 great Ace Attorney games localized. If that is real, I'm so happy because I went through the longest process to get Great Ace Attorney fan translation, and I have it, and I won't play it now if this actually comes out. I've been holding. It's been my rainy day fun kind of game. Anyways, the weakness of the Somnium Files, IMO, and this is hard to say, but I think I prefer the escape rooms, and I don't really like the escape rooms as opposed to, like, the action segments. The investigations are fine. Actually, they're pretty fun because, like, the way you use X-ray and heat vision, even though there's times where, like, I feel like the heat vision could be used to tell if someone's lying, but I digress. But, like, the action segments, by the end of it, I was like, they should not have done them the way they did.
Yeah. The game can get kind of clown shoes at moments, which is like, if you're like, it's such a serious story, but also so funny at the same time. And those go well together, I think, with this guy's writing style. But I think just like mechanically in the world, sometimes you're like, that should not happen. And
oh my god, some of them are so stupid.
I will say though, however, this game, the greatest post-game unlock of all time.
Genuinely surprising. So there's some characters that hate that character in Ota because they're just always annoying to the main character, right? But I think you and I immediately are like, oh, they're so well characterized where I don't care. Like, I love how well characterized they are.
It's kind of like Gabby, where it's like...
Yeah, exactly, from Attack on Titan.
Gabby has a very important point in that story. And
she's an annoying little brat, and I love her because she's well characterized. And so, like, me and Bradley were immediately into the character, so, like, I just like seeing them get through it. I will say we guessed the major plot twist 80% accurately, like, 3 hours in, which is pretty surprising.
It's, like, surprising, but at the same time, it's like, we were correct, but not, like, entirely correct in the way that I think we thought.
And to be fair,
we were like 70 to 80% there.
And I think also y'all have played his 2 other games, and so you have an idea of like how his games operate at this point. So you have an idea of like what his
this is pretty different. I feel like this is distinctly different. I appreciate that. He really did not make Cop 999. He made his own version of a buddy cop investigation.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
And Bradley, goddamn, I love the synergy between Date and all of his buddies.
Date,
because depending on which tree you're going down, you kind of like your eyeball is always your buddy cop, but depending on the tree you go down, like a different character might be the one who's following you around most of the time.
Yeah.
And all the synergies are so perfect to me.
I think it's interesting that because I looked up a little bit about this series or this game just to see what it was about. I think it's interesting that your voice actor for like, you have the sexy lady eye character and then you have the eye itself, and they're 2 different voice actors, which I think is interesting.
They're 2 different voice actresses.
Aiba out of your socket and Aiba normal are different voices?
They're 2 different voice actresses.
I did not notice. Wow. Okay.
I don't know why they did that. That seems really strange to me.
I will also say by the end of the game, there was like 2 Somniums that I liked. So I think the Somnium system, kind of a miss.
What is that? Is that like the almost escape room kind of thing?
Yeah, it's like the escape rooms when you're in people's dreams. And what I like about them is usually when we initially get into one, I'll really love it because the setting for them is usually deeply rooted in whatever that character's currently thinking about or some trauma they've had in the past. And sometimes your objective, like what you're supposed to do in the Somnium, is, I think, a really cool idea. However, like you're in a dream world, and I guess whoever was designing these Somniums is like, oh, well, dream logic means no logic to these puzzles. And so sometimes it'd be like, the correct thing to talk to is like you have to choose this one specific option on this one object right before you go to this other object on the opposite side of the room and pick the last option you would think is the correct one.
There's some trash in there, man. I like the time system of like managing your time left in the Somnium. That's really cool.
That's cool. So this kind of reminds me of what's the latest Ace Attorney called? It's
Spirit of Justice.
Spirit of Justice has a system where there is a kind of shaman seer kind of character that you see the last moments of that person's life.
That system is fire, though.
Yeah. But like it reminds me a little bit of that. And I think they execute much better because you're getting raw data, basically.
Yeah, you're just straight seeing what the person saw right before they died, and what they saw can be misleading, and that's totally logical. However,
the craziest one is the monk that you're like, oh, that case is fire.
Yes.
That case.
Oh, dude, you haven't finished the last. You need to finish the last case. The twist, the main twist of Spirit of Justice it's one of my favorite gaming twists of all time. But I won't get too much into that.
Will and I are big fans of Ace Attorney. I love Ace Attorney because I think the investigation side of Ace Attorney is subpar. I don't really like it because it's a lot of search and find, and it feels very bogged down.
They get better as it goes on, but the court segment...
court segments... Oh, God.
The thing that makes Ace Attorney so good, if this is my only... If no more games come out and I never get to do this, the thing that makes them so good is that... And the reason why the investigation games don't land for me as much, the Ace Attorney investigation games where you're playing as Miles Edgeworth, is that in a courtroom, you are legally forced to have a mental battle. There is no escape. You have to sit there and lie your way out as the victim, and U.S. Phoenix you have to sit there and piece the information together to take them down. It is a nothing else front-to-front battle, right? Yeah. But anyways, Bradley, how would you rank the Uchikoshis?
Uchikoshis as a whole are 5 out of 5 for me. Like specifically,
I want the 1, 2, 3.
Somnium. What?
I want the 1, 2, 3 order.
Okay, 999, like 4.5 out of 5. VLR 5 out of 5. Borderline 6 out of 5. The Somnium Files, I'll probably give it 3.5 out of 5.
Ooh.
Because it's good.
That's my order too.
There's a bunch of the Somnium Files is good. It's fun. And if someone asked me if they should play it, I would say yes.
I would say, but if someone was 999 first, and see if you like that style.
That's what I'm trying to say. If someone asked me if they should play it, I would say yes. But if someone was asking me for recommendations, I would recommend 999 first.
Yeah. So for me, it goes VLR 999, the Somnium Files. Honestly, that's what I'd say. And this is going to be controversial. Zero Time Dilemma is more fun than
than
999. Or sorry, more fun than the Somnium Files. Because Zero Time Dilemma is stupid, but it makes you think. And I think that's really fun. Let's take a pause because we kind of need Joe for the last 2 topics, and he's getting food right now. So we'll take a quick pause.
I don't want my food to get cold. It was left outside.
Wandavision!
Wandavision!
All right, we're going to talk Wandavision spoiler-free. First of all, if you have watched the MCU, the bottom line is you need to watch WandaVision. They
Like,
weren't building up to Endgame. They were building up to this.
It's like the vibe I got is like this isn't like Agents of Shield. Like this is
No.
this is core MCU.
Oh yes, which is kind of crazy. So WandaVision as a premise is Wanda and Vision are kind of now settled down. They're in a house and they're kind of going through this sitcom lifestyle of them, but that doesn't make sense about what happened in Infinity War and Endgame. So you're trying to figure out how they get here. And that is the only part of the story that I really want to talk about.
Yeah, well, wait, because we're currently in episode 7, and I think there's 10. So we will revisit this, or maybe 8? We can't be on the last one.
Yeah, I hope we're not on the last one.
No, I need more. Stop.
Will and I will definitely come back to this once we finish
and talk about the specific plot.
Yeah. But basically, the premise of the show itself is that each episode is a new era of sitcom television.
Starting 50s, 60s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
And they're really inspired by
a particular sitcom.
Yeah. So, like, the first one's the Vic Van Dyke Show, which is like the classic sitcom about Vic Van Dyke, who is the chimney sweeping Mary Poppins, if y'all didn't know. And then the one after that is Bewitched, which is another one. So, like, Bewitched, the whole thing was that they were like the first show that showed the couple together in the same bed. That was their whole big thing.
They made a little thing about that. Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah. It was, and then after that, it's Brady Bunch, and then the one we're on right now was Modern Family.
No, I think So you skip Malcolm in the Middle. Very important that you don't skip Malcolm in the Middle. His life is not fair. They should have said it in the intro. But it wasn't Brady Bunch. It was All in the Family. But it's all the same.
Oh yeah,
all 80s sitcoms are the same trash.
Yeah, it's you're right. It was All in the Family. But that's kind of the brilliance of the show is that when you're watching the show, and this is what makes it really good, is that they only use the filming techniques at the time. So for
unless they don't deliberately in specific scenes.
So for example, in the Vic Van Dyke Show, before the 60s, there were no ceilings on sets because you had the back wall and the two side walls, and that's all you could film. So you never saw a ceiling, so everything kind of went for infinitely, and you never went backwards, towards where the television set was coming from, because that didn't exist. That's where the set pieces were, or where all the film crew was. And so they use that to their advantage, especially in one scene in episode 1. You're like, this is really weird. Something's wrong. Something is really, really wrong. Like the whole pacing of the show changes in that one moment, and you like internally, like something like explodes.
The show makes you feel so off kilter because of how well constructed it is. It knows how to make you feel like something's off, and the whole show is like a huge mystery of like what is off. And most importantly, we've recently got like the main we've gotten important characters revealed.
Yes.
And I like that important character reveal I could see coming. The execution was SSSSS plus. And I want to be impressed by a show more than I want to be surprised. But I'm also extremely surprised because I have no idea where we're going.
Yeah.
It really builds that suspense with its filming style.
Yeah. And the casting of the show and the characters they choose to have in the show is so good because they pull MCU cameos that you would never think you would see or care about. And by the end of the show, there are 2 or 3 characters I'm like, this character is one of my favorites now. Just because of the way...
So, it's pretty early, so I will give one example. The little girl from Captain Marvel is like the secondary protagonist of the show.
God damn.
And she has become like a real-ass character.
She was the founder of not a founder. Her mother was the founder of a thing, and now she's dealing with that basically. And
I'm glad that character's being set up to be the next Iron Man.
Yeah,
no,
that character.
That's Shuri. No, she's her own character.
But but that character also is a great character arc because they went through the there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there that I really don't want to
Yeah,
get
like
into.
this is post Endgame, and it touches on the important parts of what the disparity of people who got snapped was and people who didn't get snapped was.
Yeah. And like much more than Far From Home did.
Yes,
like this is
much more. Far From Home played it as a joke. This plays it as like, let's actually talk about it.
Yeah, it's a serious consequences. But to talk on our primary protagonist, which is Vision and Wanda,
my God.
Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany I feel like
their acting chops are they're killer.
Yeah,
dude, they're so good at being both charming, goofy, playing at the sitcom, and when it's time to get serious, they get so serious.
Yeah. It's really good. Like Paul Bettany for me has been really standing out this season. Where it's like
for me, it's Elizabeth Olsen, dude.
It's just so like
she's so nuanced in her performance. But Paul Bettany is just so lovable.
Yeah, and like it's one thing where like I think Paul Bettany was only in like 3 movies that as not Jarvis as like Vision, basically, because it was Ultron and Infinity War. I don't even know. It was like
Iron Man 3 Vision's born, and like he's in Ultron, and I think he's in Avengers 1 as Jarvis, which is Tony Stark's computer.
He's Jarvis in all of them until Ultron, where he's Vision.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and so like I don't think we haven't seen a lot of Vision, and so this is a lot of time for Vision comparatively, and I feel like he just really likes playing this character, and it's kind of great.
They took Vision, who a lot of people would have considered a nobody in like the grant, like he's not Captain America, he's not even Hawkeye or Thor, he's definitely not Tony Stark, and they made Vision as lovable and well known. And this is the power of the MCU, and why I think it's important that we don't just shun away the MCU because there's dumb comic book movies. Because first of all, it's no longer that. WandaVision proves that it could be something much weirder, much more bizarre, and still smash. Because people love this show.
It's funny because I saw people.
The power is it can take any small comic book character, and they're just like, fuck it. This is the one we're gonna do. We're gonna make them popular, and they do it because the writing is good enough.
It's great. Yeah. And I remember people tweeting because the first 2 episodes came at the same time. Like, what the fuck is this show? This doesn't make any sense. And now I feel like every time a new episode comes out, like I can't get on Twitter now when a new episode comes out because I'm just like I need to see the show and see what's happening. Because I'm worried about it's kind of like the fad thing of like, is it just really good right now because we're developing this mystery together, and so we have this weird kind of like thing as a group where
it's a really fun group. Get on Reddit and like Twitter and like see what people are theorizing experience.
So I'm interested to see what it'll be like past that, but I feel like it's still a solid grasp of looking back of what our primary sense of like media consumption in the brands and the flares that existed. Like, you know, like you go through each era and you're like, oh, this is what things were like back then. This is how we like saw things and how we wanted to consume our
plot is just so juicy, and you get like you get some of it every episode, and then it becomes more and more forefront. You're like, oh, we are delving into some dark fucking places right now.
Yeah, I kind of suspect that the second to last episode is going to be almost YouTuber like. You feel like that? Like it's going to be.
Influencer Wanda, dude. Influencer Vision. Let's fucking go.
Like, because I feel like if we do have 3 more episodes left, like, because we're at Modern Family right now, which was 2010, 2009. That's not that long ago. So I don't know what you could do.
I feel like they gotta drop that gimmick now, especially based on what we know now. Though you know, I think next episode things are gonna get weirder. Because of how last episode. So we go to fucking. Or it could be they could do a streaming thing. They could play it on like. I don't know.
That would be fun.
I want to say one more thing that I love about this show is that it somehow made Wanda like the most interesting and maybe best character in the MCU, which is something like she's always been interesting because of like the stuff that happens to her, but they never explore it. They're exploring it now, and I love her so much now.
I rewatched Ultron, and I was watching. It's like I really just kind of wish we had a lot more focus on Wanda and Pietro, especially after watching WandaVision, because if you track everything that ever happens to Wanda,
it's all disaster.
It's terrible.
She kills a bunch of innocents. Vision, you know what happens to him in Endgame. Fuck it, everyone's seen it. Vision dies twice. She kills him once.
It's kind of crazy. So it's definitely a moment where you can create a broken person into a hero again, which is something really interesting.
Yeah, but also like it's very bold to have a protagonist antagonistic force, which is really cool. There was a big musical in the most recent episode that blew me away. Mm-hmm. It was so entertaining. That actress is so fun. That character, that
actress killed it.
Man, that's enough of that. Do go watch WandaVision. It is fantastic. If you've watched MCU and you like it, if you're unimpressed by the MCU, but you have watched some of the movies, you should still watch this. I feel like this will turn a lot of people around because it is not a traditional action movie. It is super weird.
It delves a lot into personal relationships and like personal conflict. But yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Okay. And that leads us to our last topic, which I have a fun bonus for. Our last topic is the hit game Huniepop 2.
Yes.
Man, this podcast was Tyler front-loaded, not Tyler back-loaded at all. I should have balanced this schedule out a little better. But
it's fine.
The Joe, Bradley, and I have all been playing Huniepop 2, which is a puzzle game that is totally just a puzzle game. Don't worry about any other implications. No, genuinely, yes, it's a naughty porn game. Yes, this one's even pornier than the rest. But also, yes, the puzzle game aspect has gotten even more complex and deep. So, I gotta hand it to Honeydev. He improved the puzzles and made it more interesting in a way that I wasn't expecting. And a lot of people are gonna start playing this game and gonna be like, this shit's too hard. But I feel like you really have to invest time in learning how to play it, and I appreciate it. It's not
a back and go game, like, which is weird. Like, you can't just like log in, play for 5 minutes, get what you need, and then leave.
You need to strategize in this bitch.
Yeah, it's kind of, and it can be tiring because sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I do like. In my last like 4 to 5 pairs that I was matching, I would do like 1 or 2 a day and be like, oh, I need a breather.
Or you can just get frustrated because you're like, fuck, because you just, some things don't drop correctly, or like the game is so much more brutal compared to the last one because just the way they changed the mechanics.
Yeah, there's a double date mechanic now where like you have to manage both girls' stamina, but also manage what they, so because you're dating 2 girls, it's like, oh, one of them likes red, the other likes blue. I gotta make sure that I have enough stamina for when I do those matches. At the simplest level, it's that. At the deepest level, it is you managing 2 girls' baggages, which is the new system they introduced, where girls have negative effects that they're usually putting on you, which I think
just
is
like real life.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I love about Huniepop writing. It is not ashamed of the ugly parts of dating people and meeting new people. I think there's something really wholesome about how upfront it is with how silly dating and fucking is, you know, like
Jesse, for example, has gone through a whole character arc.
Yeah,
like first game to this game, you're like, and like just
so much that even her like colors change, which I think is Lola's colors change too. So
and like going into this game, like I saw Lillian and I was like, oh, I'm gonna hate her. And like at first I really did because I was like, she's so mean and stuff. But
not Bradley. She's very.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, as I get to know her, like now I'm at the point where I'm like, I genuinely hope at some point in this girl's life she finds happiness and is like, I don't know, has what she wants. I don't like.
Yeah, but at the same time, if she keeps the darkness perk, that's gonna make it a lot easier for guys to date her because getting rid of those broken hearts is good. So keep that shit.
Now, then again, you go up against Suki, who will steal your fucking like attention, and then you match. You march a heartbreak, and you're just fucked. And you're just like, great, you've ruined everything.
I love it. The baggage system is the standout mechanic. And at first I was like, why would you talk to girls if talking to them unlocks your baggage? Here's the thing, you are not going to beat this game without 4 gifts on each date. That's just the way it is. You're going to need those gifts, and to get those gifts, you need to talk to them and give them shit. And unfortunately, you're going to have to unlock baggage, which I like. And I think about this with Huniepop 1 too. Like, there's 2 ways that I'll like a character in Huniepop. One, they're like fun in like a dating game sense, like, ooh, she's cute or hot, or she's got like a personality I'd be into. The second route is you just entertain the fuck out of me, and that is the sweet spot in which Lillian and fucking Suki Sarah operate in, where I'm like,
Konnichiwa.
Sugoi!
Oh god, weeb trash! Like, even Q is just like, ah, shit.
Man.
It's
so entertaining, which is why, to close out this podcast, we are going to do an impromptu tier list for all the girls. Are you ready, boys? Hold on, let me get my shit.
Okay.
Ba-ba-da-ba.
I can't see shit.
Oh fuck! No, hold on.
We'll pause and edit this out.
I'm showing. Oh god, no. Oh fuck.
That's a poll.
Bear with. Pause.
Okay.
Pause the episode.
There we go.
Do you see yourselves? Okay.
Yes.
Do you see the Huniepop tier list?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's fucking do it. Okay, I think these tiers look fine.
Yeah.
Where we start, boys. We could just go left to right. Let's go right to left. Actually.
Okay, I agree.
All right, we're gonna do Zoe. Zoe, I thought I would dislike because her style is super not my style, but I kind of like her gimmick.
I'm digging her.
Her gimmick is really fun.
I give her like a solid high C to low B for me.
I was gonna give her a low B.
I'll go high C. We'll settle for the high. The thing I really like is her soft voice, which is a weird. The voice acting is really good in this game. Like that is what it is. Yeah. But I also really like how she will ask like psychic questions about the other girls. And
I do like that.
How she's just insane. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. She's just fucking crazy.
The thing with her, every girl here has an outfit that makes them look pretty. Like they did a really good job with the costumes. She is the hardest one. I did get my configuration I liked best, but I think she's the hardest one to get to match my personal style.
Yeah.
Sarah's got to be an A tier. Like, come on, right?
I think A tier for me.
She is the most hated character. I was checking out like the Steam discussions out of curiosity. She is the most hated character. They just don't understand, bro.
Probably have any opinions?
She's definitely A. I think she's adorable.
She's so funny, and like once
her introduction is spot on. It's so funny, and she's like weirdly racist to what's her name?
Leilani.
It's just like
got the fucking Japanese girl, and Leilani's just like, oh yeah, I guess. Polly. I think Polly is a C. Her personality doesn't really do it for me. But I do like...
I'm not feeling the personality.
I do like how you get to customize what kind of transgender she is. That's pretty neat. But, like, most of her styles don't do it for me. The personality...
I like that. I like her theme of being, like, extremely retro. And she goes, like, all these different... Like, she starts out 80s, and then she has the 50s style and all that. But I'm with you that she is not my favorite. I do like that we have a trans character, and you get the choice of how she is, which is
you get the any choice. So like whatever you want to bone, you can bone.
Which also I don't think really makes a difference. It's for your own personal benefit.
Yeah. I do like. I will say her personality is not what I expected, and that's actually a little bit refreshing. So I'd put her over Zoe, but also it's not a personality I love. It's like beauty retro YouTuber.
Yeah.
You feel like she would get in some drama with James Charles eventually.
Oh,
I
God.
don't particularly like that.
Yeah.
Nora has a silly voice, but I kind of like her, and I kind of like. I want her to be happy as well. I feel like she's been really hurt in her life, and I just
Big drug dealer energy.
Nah, she's cool.
She is cool. I'd put her at high B, low A for me.
What are you thinking, Bradley?
She's probably close to the bottom for me.
Oh.
We'll put her in high C then. That'll average out. I really like Lola in this game. I think Lola's an A tier in this game.
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
Lola's a lot better in this game than she was in the last game.
It's just like now that she's such a go-getter, like I really like her
She has
personality and her spunk, you know?
Yeah.
And she's got some fire outfits.
And then she just also joins the Mile High Club 5 minutes into the game with
Oh
you.
yeah.
I do like how some of these girls are like, yeah, you're a sex god, let's do it.
Yeah.
Throw her into A tier.
I think A.
Lillian's got to be an A tier. She's so entertaining.
Yeah, I like her.
And she's
like
a
her.
looker. And I feel like Joe's goth girl meter has slowly gone up over time.
So it's weird. There's another goth girl on here. I feel like Lillian's too far into the gothic sector for me, but then the other one is right fucking there.
Leilani, I'm gonna say S tier, dude. She's so fucking sweet.
Really?
Oh, really? I really like her too.
Y'all don't like Leilani? Wait, what?
No, I adore her.
I don't. She's pretty.
Her personality is the freaking best.
I would put her in B. I would put her in B.
I put her in high B, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, this is you guys are fucked up. She is the sweetest. I like her slightly naughty, it's innocent, but just enough naughtiness.
I do like that a lot.
Out of all the girls, she'd be the most dateable for sure. So I don't.
Yeah, that's a fact.
For sure.
All right. I also think Jessie is also better in this game. I would think she's in the B tier.
It's 2 steps better. She's so much better than
just in the last game. In the last game, Jessie was at the bottom for me, and now in this one, I'm I like spending time with you.
You really feel like she's jaded, you know?
Yeah.
And she's kind of getting tired of her lifestyle, but she still likes being a flirt. And I really like what Zoe says. I think Zoe alludes she's really worried about her aging and that she's gonna be discarded in her industry.
Mm-hmm. And then you also have she has a whole thing with daughter. So that's her primary source of depression.
One of her conversations is talking about a memory she had with her daughter when she was young. I was I know her. I more than know her, but I digress. Yeah. So I like her. I feel like these are two good. They weren't the picks I would have chosen to make returning characters, but I think they were the right ones.
I do too.
I think about it.
They readjusted them. Also, Jessie's outfits in this game, other than her starting one, are so much better than her other outfits.
She's got some hair. That messy hair.
Ooh, girl.
Her hair. Ugh.
Also, Lola and Jessie are obviously the ones most viable to threesome. So there you go.
Oh yeah.
All right, hot take. I did not think I would love Candy as much as I do, but she is so sweet. She's such a sweet person, and also that body though.
That southern accent threw me for a loop, and I love it so much.
I like when she says, usually I get paid for going on a date, but I can do a freebie for you. I'm oh, my heart.
For me, she's B tier because she's just so dumb.
I would go A tier. No, she's cute. She's
bearing in mind that she's the one I've spent the least time with, and I'll probably grow to like her more. As it stands right now, she's D tier for me. I just don't enjoy being around her.
I think that's 2 B's and 1. We're gonna put her in high C. I would put her in A. So I'm gonna push myself a little bit here. Bottom of B. She's great. Man, you already know. Dog.
Oh yeah, get her up there.
How
she's fucking hot.
How could I reject such a polite invitation from such a polite man? Oh, oh no.
during one of the puzzle rounds, she said "good boy," and I was like, "To S tier, you go."
She's a bitch to play with all of her baggage, though. God damn.
That's some harsh baggage. I would
yeah.
say. The baggage that stops you from using certain types of gifts are always annoying. But also the one where she's like, you can't give them a gift if I don't have a gift.
Yeah.
Y'all, Ashley is my type of girl, IRL.
I'm with Willer. It's really bad. it's
Bradley Pending, that's an S tier for me.
Well, I think she's super hot in the game. I would never ever date someone like this in real life, but it's a fun fantasy.
The thing is like, even like the way Ashley talks to you is kind of like a best friend move, but she also has this weird encouragement that's also like, when you fail with her, she's like, "Oh, I know you can do better, but you'll get it next time." Like, you're just like...
I like the pre-established relationship you have with her. I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to average out to a high A. Highest A.
A, at least. Like,
and then the most obvious S tier that's ever S tier.
Come on. I love this girl.
Yeah.
Joe, may I put her first?
I think so.
Yes.
She's so funny to me.
Her voice actress is having the most fun in the game.
Yeah.
I like the one where she's like, horny to be here. I mean, happy. I mean, horny, but... and then she just, like, stumbles in her words for, like, 5 seconds. It's so funny.
Yeah. She's great. So, like, there are unlockable outfits you can do by typing in codes that you can find online.
Her unlockable outfit is the lewdest shit I've ever seen.
You're like, it's way too blatant. I think it's really funny, too, because, like, so Aiba is a Islamic woman.
Repressed. Like, she has a very strict traditional family, and she escaped her home country and her family to just go have fun.
Yeah. And so she starts her first outfit's she's a TSA agent.
Yeah,
that's number one.
Which is a cheeky little. I see what you're doing there, honey, Dev.
Yeah. But then, like, her base default outfit is like really traditional. It's like it's got the head wrap and everything, and long sleeve. And you're like, oh, okay.
And then you just go down a rabbit hole.
And you get to the date, you're like, holy shit!
This goes.
There's that one with her with literally like a bed sheet around her.
Yeah.
And you're just like.
There's one where she has belly hair, or like what looks like, well, like it's the same as one of Belly's hairstyles, I think, which I really like, from the original Huniepop. That's our tier list, y'all.
Bump Zoe up 2 or 3 spots. Come on.
Come on. I like Polly and Nora more than Zoe.
No.
I like Nora much more than Zoe.
No.
I'll do you this.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Nora has that outfit where she had...
Candy's got to be above Jessie, man.
Yeah, that's fair.
Man.
Wait.
Leilani got robbed. And then for the 2 space hookers, they C tiers.
Yeah.
They're funny. They're funny as shit.
Yeah. My pussy bone dry.
That boss fight is unbeatable. I'm going to spend months trying to beat that boss fight, but I digress.
I got up to 3 rounds and then I failed.
I think I hope the 4th one's the last because I can't possibly do another.
There's 4. There's a little out of.
I came kind of close on my first try then. All right. Hey Tyler, what did you think of our tier list, bud?
Nito Dorito.
I'm so sorry. I should have balanced this out better so you had things to talk about.
Also, this is going to be its own separate video, so you're going to have to make another thumbnail.
No, this will be in the video. This will be in the podcast. In case you're audio only and this doesn't make, like, you don't watch the video, the tier list is C tier with going from best to worst, Nora, Zoe, Polly, and then B tier with Leilani, Candy, Jessie, and then A tier with Ashley, Sasha, or Sarah, Lola, and Lillian, and then S tier with Abia and Brooke. All right, GG's, good podcast.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. I'm sorry, Tyler.